Thought has been over-elogized by people, and the very nature of the thought is such that if you think, it must be logical. It cannot be any other way. Well, what somebody is thinking may look illogical to you, but they have found their own logic. The most extreme person that you have met, within himself or herself, they have their own logic, isn't it so? They are not speaking illogically as far as they're concerned. They have found their own kind of logic. Logic means it needs two. Logic means it needs division. Now, with logically you're trying to arrive at inclusive consciousness, it's not going to happen because you're using a knife to stitch, this is not going to work. If you use a knife to cut, it's efficient. You use a knife to stitch things together, you'll only tear it up further. So my thought and your thought, I'm telling you, whatever great meetings you have, conference… I've been to every kind of peace conference on the planet. What happens there? It's just short of war. After some time it heats up, on the second day anyway it's over, they all get drunk in the evening and they go home. If you make them stay there for a week, I'm telling you right there'll be a battle. Yes, it is true. I'm not saying this with any disdain. I made a sincere effort to participate in all these conferences at one time, believing they are going to lead to peace. But 8 years ago I decided I'll never again go to these events because people are professional conference attendees. They're making a living out of it. It's not about peace. This is important, that in modern societies, we have not cultured our children to culture their identity. When I say identity, the fundamental identity for you is always your body. This racial thing that concerns him and concerns all of us. I'm darker than him, you know. I face it all the time, joyfully, but I face it everywhere I go. But our first identity is with the body. When we identified with the body, the color of the skin also becomes part of it. Why do we identify with the body? Because our experience is limited to this. If you say me, you mean this, isn't it? Because your experience of life is limited to this, naturally you're identified with this and this is you and this is how you look. Somebody looks so different, whether in gender or because of race or because of maybe just fashion. Who knows what makes them different? But suddenly, this is me, that's you, it's established. But we sit here in this hall, whatever the color of our skin, whatever our religion, whatever our gender, we are inhaling and exhaling the same air. But we have no issue. Body has no problem, but the identity has a problem. You're identified with something. We have not cultured our children right from an early age that your identity should be universal. Without this, you should not give education to a child, that is the understanding. Because education is seen as an empowerment. You should not empower a person who has limited identifications, because it doesn't matter whether it's of individual nature or of family or of community or race, religion, nation, it doesn't matter. Once you have limited identity, you will cause disharmony, you will cause cruel things, thinking you're doing the right thing. I know the debate, the source of… the debate always goes to ISIS and things like this. I want you to understand this. These people, looking at their actions, sitting here, all of us think these are horrible people. But you must understand this, they believe they are doing the greatest thing that a human being can do. They're working for God. There can be no better employer. Not Google, God. You must see, there is a press meet that the Afghan Taliban is conducting with the international media just before United States invaded Afghanistan. All these young guys with long beards and big turbans, they're all sitting like this. And they're asking questions. Just then they had, bombed that Buddha statue and they made this thing that girls should not go to school and many other things. So these kind of questions are coming. Whatever you ask them, they say, in our book, in our holy book, our prophet, our God said this, we're just doing that. I was just watching these guys, I had tears in my eyes. These are wonderful guys. These are guys who are willing to die for what they believe in, but they've been screwed up by the scriptures. These are wonderful people who are willing to die for what they think is right. A man who's willing to die for what he thinks is right is a great man, but look at the consequence. Simply because of limited identity. We are sitting on this round planet which is spinning and moving at a great speed in the middle of nowhere. You don't know where it begins, where it ends, this thing. And look at us sitting here and talking. How many forces in the existence are keeping you and me in place on this chair? So there is no way we can exist without the involvement of all this.
The two basic qualities which sets us apart from every other creature is, we have a very vivid sense of memory. Everything that happens, we remember. This is why our experiences become our knowledge. And we have a fantastic sense of imagination. We can imagine something which is not yet and work towards creating it. These are the only two things people are suffering. These are the only two things. What happened 10 years ago, they can still suffer. This does not mean they're suffering life, they're suffering their memory. What may happen day after tomorrow, they're already suffering. This does not mean they're suffering life, they're just suffering their imagination. They're suffering their memory and imagination, two basic faculties which set us apart from every other creature.